Welcome back to our lecture today about securing information system, which is explained in our textbook, Management Information System, Chapter 7. Basically, in this lecture, we will discuss the need for security to protect information systems and data. In addition, we will introduce technologies supporting secure information systems. First, we will learn the main types of threats that could harm information systems through destruction, error, and abuse, and also how to design and implement security and control measures to safeguard information systems in an organization. And finally, what are technologies and tools used today to support overall security and control information systems in business? First, we try to understand the term securities and controls. Security is always regarding design and implementation of policy, procedures, and technical measures that use to protect information systems, while control is measuring and ensuring the efficiency and compliance of security to management standards. System vulnerability and abuse, why systems are vulnerable. To understand this, we have here a list that summarizes all sources for potential threats, and it is organized in 6 categories. They are all related to information systems components and its environments. First, network and its accessibility. Then hardware, software, environment where information system components located, like fire or floods or natural catastrophes, and the way of information system usage, and finally, portable devices. Note that when a large amount of data are stored digitally on computers and servers and in databases, they are vulnerable to many more kinds of threats than when they were stored in manual form, on paper, on file cabinets, or on shelves. Whatever, when data are available over a network, there are even more vulnerabilities because of the fact that information system is not an isolated system. Rather, it's a part of an open system, and it is interlinked to other parts in the system landscape, so that potential threat sources are notably increased than the case of the manual handling of business data. On the other hand, digital records are not vulnerable in ways that manual records in file cabinets are vulnerable. For instance, you really cannot tell who has accessed manual records when they are in a physical form. In databases, file access is monitored unless a hacker has found a way to read records without leaving any digital trails. This graphic illustrates the type of threats to system security and the points over the network at which these threats are prevalent. Some problems occur at the client computer, others through the network lines, server, or in hardware and software. We will discuss later the meaning of all threats shown in this figure. This slide discusses the type of threats that large networks face, like the internet, because they are open to anyone. Note that Internet is so huge that when abuses happens, they can have an enormously widespread impact on the organization. And when the Internet becomes part of the corporate network, the organization's information systems are even more vulnerable to actions from outside. In this slide, we will discuss security threats related to wireless networks. Local area networks using 82.11 standards, which can be easily penetrated by outsiders equipped with laptops, wireless cards, external antenna, and hacking software. Hackers use these tools to detect unprotected networks, monitor network traffic, and in some cases gain access to the Internet or to corporate networks. Note that there are stronger encryption and authentication systems available for wireless network, but many users must install them first. Till now, we have just concentrated on the vulnerabilities of information systems and its environment, and we have also discussed vulnerable areas that are presented in 6 categories: network, hardware, software, disasters, and portable devices. Now it is important for you to understand what threats are, and which means that threats use malicious software, or short malware. Malware is one of the most important dangerous threats that harm information systems and computers today. Malware is a serious problem over the past decades. Worms and viruses have caused billions of dollars of damage to corporate networks, emails, and data. Malware is generally a term of any software designed to run on a computer system without permission. That is the definition of malware. Now to the types of malwares. A virus is a program that attaches itself to legitimate software or data file. The virus spreads itself when the software is run, and also, it's a very important point, the virus may carry a payload. What is a payload? Payload is the functionality of the malware. The payload might, for example, disrupt computer operation or gather sensitive information. Or it can gain unauthorized access to computer system. A worm is a standalone program that replicates itself in order to spread across a network and other computer systems. The worm may carry a payload and normally to damage computer performance, eat computer resources like CPUs and main memory. Now to the Trojan horse. A Trojan horse or a Trojan is a software that user download or installs for a legitimate purpose without knowing that it includes malware payload, like deleting files, stealing data, or activating and spreading other malware such as viruses. We continue the discussion of types of malware on the previous slide. Note that SQL injection attacks are the largest malware threat. These attacks enable hackers access to underlying databases that support web applications, such as sale of products and services, and also e-commerce financial data or other structured information. SQL injection attacks gaining unauthorized access to websites database. The mechanism is to submit SQL statements through a web form that are then executed to select and download data. Spyware. Spyware is a malware that collects information about computer user. One form of spyware is key logging, where all information typed into the system are recorded. This slide looks at the people who commit computer crime, and it provides also various types of computer crime, like system intrusion, system damage, and cyber vandalism. Hacking. Hacking is the process of intruding computer system without authorization in order to gain access to them for good or bad purposes. Within hacking community, the term cracker is typically used to denote a hacker with criminal intention. Most of computer crimes are committed by using of malwares. But what is a computer crime from legal perspective? I read here the definition for computer crime as it is, because it is about legal term definition. It is any violation of criminal law that involve a knowledge of computer technology for their perpetration, investigation, or prosecution. For computer crimes, computer can be the target or the means of computer crimes. We introduce here the most important types of computer crimes that used today by hackers. These are methods, to say tricks or traps, used for computer crimes. We begin first with the spoofing and sniffing. We define them here in simple way. Spoofing means to pretend to be someone else, while sniffing means to illegally listen into another's conversation. Sniffing motives could be getting username and password, stealing bank-related or transaction-related information, spying on emails and chat messages, identity theft. And note that all of these crimes, malware can be here used, and in different form, especially spyware. A denial of service, DOS or DOS attack, is a computer crime to disrupt normal traffic of targeted server or network by overwhelming them with a flood of internet traffic. Distributed DOS or DDoS attacks achieve that by using several computer systems as sources of traffic attack. It's like a traffic jam blocking highway, preventing regular traffic from arriving at its destination. A DDoS attack requires a hacker to gain control of a network of online computer in order to carry out an attack. These computers of regular network member are already infected with malware without knowing of their owner or administrator. Hacker turn each computer into a bot or zombie. The hacker then has remote control over the group of boats, which is called a botnet. Once a botnet has been established by malware infection, the attacker is able to direct the machine by sending updates instructions to each bot via a method of remote control. When the IP address of the victim server is targeted by the botnet, each bot will start by sending fake requests to the targeted server, potentially causing the targeted server or network to overflow server capacity. The server cannot respond to regular requests of real user because each boot is a legitimate internet device, and separating the attack traffic from normal traffic can be very difficult. Phishing and evil twins are the most common scenarios to theft personal information. For phishing, hackers send fraudulent emails to targets appearing to be from a legitimate company, such as your bank. The emails are often rudimentary, but they use psychological concepts to attract you. The emails might claim that criminals are attempting to access your bank account, for example, in order to cause panic. And once your emotions take over, criminals offer you a simple resolution. Click a fraudulent link and you land on a fake website to verify your name, email address, date of birth, account number, and even your PIN. But of course, the entire story is fabricated, and so hackers can steal your identity and your personal information. For Evil Twin, a fraudulent wireless internet access point used to commit identity theft by recording the data traffic from unwitting users. Farming is a method of identity theft in which hackers set up a website look like a legitimate website as of a bank and redirects users who are trying to visit authentic website to the fake one to track them in order to steal passwords and other personal information. Click fraud is about clicking off ad banners without any intention of purchasing the product. Click fraud is done to make an advertising campaign appear very successful. If ads are based on pay-per-click, website owner who is publishing the ads can make undeserved profits by clicking the ads countless times. In addition, software is available that automatically clicks ads and uses different IP addresses to simulate random users. Away from firms' attacks from outside, there are also sources of threats within a company. They are the employees. Employees have access to privileged information and they can route through the systems uncontrolled with sloppy internal and security procedures. Many employees can also forget their passwords to access computer systems or allow co-workers to use them. For social engineering as a term, it's about tricking employees into revealing their passwords by pretending to be legitimate members of the company who need information. Another main source of threats is software used in information systems and network components. There is no perfect software, and most probably there is no software flawless. Bugs are coding failures and they can lead to security vulnerabilities and open network to intruder, for example, or damage data or system performance. Patches are normally used by the software vendor to repair flaws in their software. The term business value of something is always used to see how this thing impacts on the business. Now, this slide shows you the impact of security and controls on the firm's business and its business processes. The absence of security can lead to fail of computer systems and consequently the lost business function or even to get out of business in worst case. The huge impact of securing information systems and networks on business forces countries worldwide to protect organizations against cybercrime. Because managing data involved in information system must implement controls mechanisms to make sure this information is accurate. Electronic records management is essential today for responding to legal actions. Who did what, when, and where, and how as electronic evidences. Note that in a legal action, a company is obligated to respond to requests for access to information that may be used as evidence, and the company is required by law to produce those data. The cost of responding to discovery requests can be enormous if the company has trouble to assembling the required data or the data have been corrupted or destroyed. Courts impose financial and even criminal penalties for improper destruction of electronic documents. That shows how important the legal requirements for electronic records and computer forensics in order to be considered later in the controls and security planning. According to many legal requirements and laws like Sarbanes-Oxley Act in USA, for example, many organizations are forced to deliver reports about their financial status or about their proper operating and securing of information systems. An information system control is a procedure or policy that provides assurance that information system used by an organization operate as intended and data is reliable and the organization is in compliance with laws and regulations. To improve security for companies' information systems, it is important to create a framework that supports securities. This includes establishing information systems, controls, and understanding the risk to companies' information systems. Controls used in information systems may be manual or automated. There are two main types of controls: general controls and application controls. Application controls are specific controls exact addressed to each computerized application, such as payroll or order processing. Application controls include both automated and manual procedures that ensure that only authorized data are completely and accurately processed by that application. while general controls apply to all computerized applications. As you can see, we have here all the types of general controls. Software controls, hardware controls, computer operation controls, data security controls, implementations controls, administrative controls. A risk assessment is a key to ensuring that an organization is prepared and protected. An information security risk assessment will give a company an accurate snapshot of the security risks that might threaten confidentiality, integrity, and availability of organizations' information assets. Security risk assessment can be used to help an organization to select the right security control framework based on business needs and cost-benefit analysis. Threats can be evaluated depending on the following criteria: types of threat, probability of occurrence during the year, potential losses or value of threat, and finally, expected annual loss. Companies need to establish a security policy for protecting companies' assets, as well as another company's policies that the security policies drives, and how information systems support this. One of these policies is the Acceptable Use Policy, AUP. AUP defines privacy, user responsibility, and personal use of companies' equipment and networks, and also what is unacceptable and acceptable actions for every user and consequences for non-compliances. Authorization policies also is here defined, and it determines different levels of user access to information assets. Information system access management is a very important component of the control and security framework. Here, system user authorization and privileges are defined. Who can read, update, insert, or delete what kind of data? And also, what system functions are assigned to them. So, user profile gives rules for user accessing data and functions of an information system. Note that user could have different roles in an organization, and so different profiles are assigned to them. One as system administrator, and the other one, for example, has a role as sales manager. As you can see here, there are two profiles of personal department, one as clerk and the other one is manager. Both users are defined with location, identifications, and data fields and type of accesses. So read or update or read only or none, all of kind of accesses on data are already defined here. Floods, earthquakes, or power outage are examples for disasters. A framework for security and control should have plans and activities to respond to such disasters, focusing on restoration of devices and systems as well as recovery that disrupted business operation. Here it is very important to estimate the business damage, caused by disasters, and also to set priority to restoration of corrupted systems and devices. Coming now to auditing perspective, NIS audit, Management Information System audit, enables a company to determine if existing security measures and controls are effective. An NIS audit is an examination of the controls governing individual information systems. The evaluation of an evidence determines if the information systems are safeguarded as planned, and if information systems are maintaining data integrity and operating effectively to achieve the organization's goal and objectives. These reviews may be performed in conjunction with a financial statement audit, internal audit, or other form of agreements like service level agreement with third party. As we can see here in this figure, it is auditing of one information systems for to examine the control and security framework. So we see here as it is represented as a table which has different columns, and it's very important to concentrate on the first one. The first column lists all risks or weakness that can be occur with this information system. For example, we see here the first risk is user account with missing passwords. And to describe what does it mean, we see here in the second column that is probability. It is already here defined, yes or no, it could happen, yes, and justification why it could happen. For example, to justify, to describe it, this risk and consequences of it. For the first risk, it is the result of this risk is leave system open to unauthorized outsider or attackers. And the last column to describe measures and responses to this risk or weakness. For example, here for the first one, eliminate accounts without passwords, and so on. So you have first one, the weakness, it's already defined, the meaning of it, and the response to react for this weakness when it happens. Moving now to the most important and exciting part of our lecture today, to learn how to protect the information systems by deploying technologies, software, and tools. User access management system that defines username and passwords, and also the period of time that user access is valid. It assigning user privileges according to the user profile. Based on user assessment management system, there are many technologies used for identifying and authentication of users. Password systems are traditional methods for authentication. You need just to input your username and password and you are in. That's all. There are another methods currently used in the market like token, smart cards, and biometric authentication. Tokens are physical chips used normally to get access into computer or other electronic devices, or even to open doors, for example. The same is valid for smart cars. Smart cars have the shape of credit card. Many computer keyboards in companies today are equipped with slots so that once the user puts the smart card into the slots, the system identifies the user and he can access on the computer, information system, and all devices in the network like printer and telephone that are signing to him in his user profile. Most of the authentications of tokens and smart card devices are used in conjunction with using of additional PIN or password. We have here the essential tool that's used to prevent intruders from accessing private networks, namely the firewalls. To create a strong firewall, an administrator must maintain internal rules identifying the people, applications, or addresses that are allowed or rejected to go through the firewalls. Firewalls can restrict but not completely prevent network penetration by the outsiders. Firewalls should be viewed as one element in overall security plan. In addition, there are a number of technology used by firewall, including static packet filtering, stateful inspection, network address translation, and application proxy filtering. They are frequently used in combination to provide firewall protection. As you can see in this figure, there are two kinds of firewall: outer firewall and inner firewall. The outer firewall is responsible for all incoming communication from outside to control them by the rules given by the administrators. And if the examination is done, the communication incoming messages are go to the actual web server of the organization, and then the web server give this or pass this communication to the address computer or application. For the inner firewall, it controls the outgoing communication with a remotely hosted application or computer anywhere in the internet. So we have to get control also on the ingoing information to be sure that's no risk for this communication because it could be a potential risk for the organization to communicate with specific computers can be used, for example, for DDoS attacks. Our computer as botnet or as zombies. So it's important to control incoming communication and outgoing communication in this case. In addition to authentication systems and the firewalls, there are also tools to prevent illegitimate intruders and software from accessing the network. We will start first with intrusion detection tool. It is to monitor hotspots on private organization networks to detect and restrict intruders, and also to examine events as they are happening to discover attacks in progress and eventually to prevent them automatically. And there are other tools like antivirus and anti-spyware software. It checks computers for presence of malware and can often eliminate it immediately. It requires continual updating from the vendor databases to discover new malware that currently spreads in the market, for example. Both intrusion detection system and antivirus software should run all the time in background of information system. So coming to all-in-one solution, Unified Threat Management System, short UTM, that supports organization to reduce costs and improve security management. Vendors have combined into a single appliance. Appliances mean hardware and software. Hardware like slots, like token, or other devices needed for for the security management. And also it contains several tools like virtual private network, VPNs, what we already discussed before, intrusion detection systems, and web content filtering and anti-spam software. So UTM can be seen as a comprehensive security management product. Data or information are transmitted over the internet as a stream of data in form of packets, sequence of packet routing over the internet. The problem is, the weak point is that can be happen that a third party catch this data on the way from the sender to recipient. And to avoid or to solve this problem, we have the possibility to encrypt this data to be not used by third party. So we will transform text or data into text that cannot be read by intruder. And the only one can see it, that is the recipient, by using so-called protocols, transport protocols, like Secure Stocks Layer, SSL, and TLS. I'm sure when you remember when you establish new account by email server, there are some options asking you about the encryption method, what you want to use, SSL or TLS, for example. And for web application or websites that can be encrypted by using HTTP, but special one, it's a secure HTTP to encrypt websites and web application transferred over the network. The methods of encryption are mainly two methods: symmetric key encryption and public key encryption. In symmetric key encryption, the sender and receiver establish a secure internet session by creating a single encryption key and sending it to the receiver, so both the receiver and the sender share the same key. Receiver can then encode the incoming messages by using the same key. The problem here is that the key can be captured by hackers and use it to decoding the messages. Public key encryption uses two keys, one public or shared, and the other one is totally private. The keys are mathematically related so that data encrypted with one key can be decrypted using only the other one. So that receiver has two keys. One is private and one is public. And the same for the sender, has two keys, public one and private one. Again, to send and receive messages, sender and receiver first create separate pairs of private and public keys. The public key is kept in a directory and the private key must be kept secret. So the public key is public and the private key is secret and kept by the communicator, receiver, and sender. The sender encrypts the messages with the recipient's public key. On receiving the message, the recipient uses his or her private key to decrypt it. This figure illustrates the concept of public key encryption method. We have here the sender and the recipient. Both have pair of key. One is public and that is located in public directory, and the other one is private key for each for sender and for recipient. One for sender as a private key and one for recipient. And if the sender wants to send a message to a recipient over the internet, first the message will be encrypted by using public key of the recipient, and then is sent over the internet and received by recipient, and then recipient can decode this message by using his own private key. And here it's very difficult for a hacker to hack both keys, the public key of the recipient and private key of him, and the same thing for the sender. And therefore, the public key encryption methods, it's more safe than the symmetric key method. Digital certificates are tools that often used to protect online transactions, and in conjunction with public key encryption to validate the identities of two parties in a transaction before data exchange. A digital certificate is mostly according to standards that describes personal characteristics of people and confirm their identity. Certification Authority (CA) is a trusted third party that validates user identities. This graphic illustrates the process for using digital certificates. The institution or individual requests for certificates over the internet from a certification authority, CA. The certificate received then from the authority and can then be used to validate a transaction with an online partner, for example. the availability of hardware and software and keep them operating. It is very important, and it take high priority of any organization. So availability is very important, and mainly we make a so-called backup strategy to copy the data daily or weekly in other place. So all the data of software are copied in tapes, for example, and we keep them away from the place where the server located, like data center or other places. So it's not just software and hardware, but also other things very important like power supply. We need plan B, so we have ever another possibility to feed our information system and system infrastructure with power all the time. And it is very important also to recover quickly. So for recovering or restoring, it's very important to make a plan in case of down of systems. So how to recover systems and in which sequence, in which priority. Okay, that's all for today. So that's the end of our lecture for today. I hope you got an overview about the security and control of information system, vulnerabilities, frameworks, technology used to protect information systems, and all these stuffs. Don't worry, in the next semesters you will get a course just for security and in details. So it's just to know what security is, what is the main component of security, what does it mean with vulnerability, framework, controls, security, and technology used. What is a firewall? What is encryption? That is important for me to to understand this, and later for more information you will have extra courses. So good luck and see you next week.